Thank you.
Can you tell I enjoy being busy? I'm Tom's evaluator this evening. It's a pleasure to evaluate his speech. Tom is a very experienced speaker, and I'm intrigued by the objectives that he has for his speech tonight, because it talks about presenting a time when he was a protege, and talking about the importance of having a mentor. Now, those of you who know Tom quite well will know that he's very wise and he has lots of knowledge to share, and it's difficult to imagine a time when he didn't have any. So tonight I'm intrigued to find out where he learned all his knowledge from, and maybe give me a couple of secrets as to where I can go and get some knowledge as well. Tom's speech tonight is to obviously talk about that experience of gaining knowledge and who has inspired him along the way, and not necessarily to report on what the project was, but more about the impact and the outcome. I'm intrigued tonight to listen to this speech about who do you really love. So, with a speech entitled Who Do You Really Love, please help me to welcome Tom English.
Colin Smith, Rosalie Balla, Jill Garner, Mike Bayron, Steve Foote, and Dean Messervy. None of those names are going to mean anything to you whatsoever. But to me, those people are legends, and their names are inscribed on both my heart and both my mind. I want to talk today about Mike and the impact that Mike had on me in my life as a mentor, and me being a mentee. So I need to go back to 2008, or even 2007, a little bit beforehand, because I met Mike very early in 2008. And I need to tell you about where I was in my life at that particular time. I was actually doing my master's degree. I'd done an undergraduate degree at Leeds University, and straight after that I did a master's degree. So I was in my 4th consecutive year of full-time education. I'd already lived in Madagascar for 2 years and served a full-time mission with my church, which involved helping other people and putting other people first. But I'd since come home to the Western world, and I'd been concerned and even disturbed about the waste in this country, having lived in a third world country for 2 years. I didn't buy any clothes to start with. My older sister was very kind, and she took me on a shopping spree within the first 6 months, but cool, thank you, appreciated. But I wasn't really that bothered about material stuff. But it didn't take too long, probably about 2 years, until I got back into the Western mode of being and living. The materialistic sense of wanting more, of thinking of myself. And I'd sleepwalked my way into becoming a hedonist. And a hedonist is somebody who seeks after pleasure. A hedonist is somebody who thinks only of themselves. And it's easy to become a hedonist when you don't have any other responsibilities, when you don't have anybody else to care about, when you don't have a partner, when you don't have kids, when you're not really checking in on the rest of your family. It's easy to become a hedonist. It's easy to think only about yourself. But following hedonism is something else, which is called nihilism. And nihilism is a fancy way of saying nothingness, purposelessness, meaninglessness, not having any idea what your life is all about. And I was at that point when I met Mike. And following nihilism is desperation, is despair. How long does it take you to feel like your life doesn't have any greater meaning for you to feel despair? For me, not too long. There I was, playing some silly game on my mobile phone. Mobile phone games really weren't that good in early 2008, I can promise you, it wasn't an iPhone. I was lying on my bed one Saturday night and I thought, why am I here? No, I wasn't feeling suicidal, but I didn't know why I was here. I don't have time to go into the full ins and outs of how I actually met Mike, but it was a very spiritual experience for me. And I ended up at Mike's house on Sunday evening. And I asked him, as is tradition sometimes in the church that I go to, for a blessing. And he gave me a blessing, which just about blew my head off. It was incredible. To say I'd never sat down and spoken to this guy properly before in my life. The things that he told me, the way in which he reminded me of who I am in relation to God and man was incredible. And it changed my life. It had a transformational effect on me. And I met with Mike for quite a few months, probably every other week at his home. He was very generous with his time. And I would go back and I would see him every couple of weeks. He would give me things to do, things to think about, mainly things to think about. And it's important at this point to note what a mentor is and what a mentor isn't. A mentor isn't a rescuer. He wasn't there to pull me out of the pit of despair. Nor was he there to be a taskmaster. It was up to me to do the work. He was a guide. He was showing me the way. Here's the path, man. You take it and sort yourself out, or look where you are. You want to stay there? No. Here's the way. Do the work. I did the work. And I reaped the rewards. In this particular story, I was Luke Skywalker, the mentee, the hero of the story, but flawed. And he was Yoda, the guide. Not a dictator, not a rescuer. The impact that that man has had on my life is incredible. He's still my mentor today. But I speak with him very infrequently. Sometimes I'll just fire off an email and say something great happened, or we had this great result, or I did this great deal at work, or I had this problem, and I don't expect anything back, because the answers will come. Sometimes I'll have a chat with him and we'll be on the phone for 3 hours, maybe once every 6 months, or every 12 months or so. But he's there as a guide, and he's had a transformational effect. So I talk about transformation and I talk about transformational effects. What really made the difference apart from that blessing? It was a question. Early doors he asked me the question, who do you love? Well, my mum, obviously. Everybody does, don't they, unless there's some sort of psychopath, or unless the mum's a psychopath. I didn't think either was true. But I'll tell you what, he really made me question. And that question changed me. And it's a guiding star for me now when I think about my own life and where I'm going. Who do I really love? I wouldn't be married to my wife today if it wasn't for that question. If I hadn't been able to sort myself out and start to have the courage to love. I wouldn't have had success commercially without that question. And I wouldn't be setting up my own business now without that question. I owe that man a lot. He certainly has my love. And because of him and his guidance, others do too. Mr. Toastmaster.